South Africa's youth unemployment rate is one of the highest in the world. This is not just a statistic, it's a crisis. Around half of the country's young people under the age of 25 are jobless. Crime rates are high and poverty is rife. But the solution is relatively simple: access to good education and learning life skills to get a foothold in the job market. Unfortunately, this is almost completely out of reach for most South African youngsters. Social entrepreneur Amanda Blankfield-Koseff has dedicated her life to changing all this, one young citizen at a time.
Hi Amanda, welcome to the show and thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
So Amanda, can you tell us a bit about yourself, please?
So my name is Amanda Blankfield-Koseff and I live in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I run an organization called Empowervate, and we work in schools across the country empowering young people to be active citizens and social entrepreneurs.
And Amanda, you've got a program called the Youth Citizen Action Program. Can you tell us how it started and give us more information about it?
Great. So I was working at another NGO, and while I was there I was asked to run a youth dialogue. So I had this dialogue. We had learners from across well, it was only Gauteng. We had learners across the city, and they came to an event where they had to talk about what they would do to fix problems in our country. And they were from different backgrounds. They came up with beautiful ideas, and we had motivational speakers, and it was just an amazing day, and everyone left there very excited. But then they went home and nothing happened. And I was like, well, what's the point of this? You know, what was the whole idea behind this talk shop when there's no action involved? So that's when I said to my bosses at the time, can I change this into an action program? Because I don't really see the point of just talking about things. These kids want to do something. Let's help them to do it. So he said, fine, go for it. So I had the free rein, the creativity to go and create this program as one of the many other things I did while I was working there. And it just grew into something so amazing that after 4 years, it wasn't even in the same direction that that NGO was going in. And I said, can I take it out and start my own NGO to run it? And he said, yeah, go for it. So that was how it all began. It started with the program and then became a program under the organization banner.
And what exactly is it?
So it's a program around empowering and motivating young people to be active citizens and social entrepreneurs. So how we do that is we said, okay, so people want to make change, but why don't they? So the first reason is they don't know how. They don't know where to start. So we said, okay, let's have a toolkit that explains step by step how to run a project. So project management steps, easy to follow, you know, just do one step at a time, don't get too overwhelmed. And then also, what do they do now once they've done this project? Like, where's the next phase? So we said, okay, well, we need to showcase what they've done and give them a platform to talk about the changes that they made, the impact that they made. But then how do we get them to actually do it in the first place? And we said competition, because that motivates people. They want to do their best, they want to win. But while they're on that journey, they're learning and they're growing and they're making change. So it's a win-win in the end, although at the time when they don't win, sometimes they're a bit upset.
And Amanda, we're going to talk about some success stories a bit later, but for now, what type of projects are these kids involved in, and what age levels are the kids?
So when we started the program, we only worked with grade 10s, which is in secondary school. And then later on we said, but what about the younger kids? The sooner you start with this kind of program, the better. So then we started a grade 7 program, which is the primary schools. So then we had the two different categories of the primary and the high schools. Then as time went on, the kids who'd finished now in grade 10 were now in grade 11, and they were like, but now there's nothing for us. So then we made it also grade 11, and then they were like, no, but we need to have a grade 9 as well, because they need to practice before they're in grade 10. So in the end we just said, okay, it's grade 5 to grade 12. And there's two age categories, the junior category, which is grade 5 to grade 8, and then the senior grade 9 to grade 12. And that's how we managed to do that. And then the topics that they cover, we give them quite a broad range. We don't want to say, you know, every year some programs have like a theme, and they say this year everyone's doing a project on drug abuse. And that's all very well and good if that is the problem in your school. But what happens if there's something else that is much more important and urgent, but that's not the topic that they asked you to do? So we said, we're going to give you free rein to choose the topic, whether it's a social issue, environmental, educational, or even economic issue. Those are the four main categories that you can choose from. But then do something specific to your area. So in your specific area, maybe faction fighting is a problem. You're in a rural town in Eastern Cape, and that is a problem. People with different cultures are fighting each other. Like, that is something that you need to work on, fine, go for it. If your problem is teen pregnancy, go for it. If your problem is lack of textbooks, do that. You know, so you can choose within your range and within that specific category range what you want to work on, and be specific about it. Like, don't try and solve the whole world's problems in one project, because sometimes people get very ambitious.
I can imagine. And we've brought the toolkit here, so can you just give us a brief outline of what's in the toolkit?
So the toolkit starts with how to form a team, how to make a group into a team, how to put roles together, roles and responsibilities, how to research what are the problems, and how do you find your problems. And we give 3 different methodologies on how to do that. And then from there, it's how to choose the actual topic that you want to work on, because there's so many problems. How do you choose one? So we give a prioritization tool that they can use to see which one is more urgent or important to fix. And then from there, they have to go and do research into what they can do to fix the problem. So what solutions they can come up with. Who's the target market that they need to go to get these solutions to happen? Because they can't do it by themselves. Everyone needs help. Even, us as adults, we need help. So they have to find out who's going to help them. They have to find out what solutions will work and what won't. And they use things like the 6 thinking hats from De Bono, so they can actually come up with different ideas and make sure that all the bases are covered. So we teach them that, and then from there they have to go and actually manage the team and show us how they manage the team. And that tool is very useful for other teamwork at school. They love that one because it gives accountability and responsibility. So everyone in the team has to do their job on time. And then from there they have to show what are the changes from the planning to the action. So prove your resilience. Show us that just because step 1 didn't work, what did you do instead? Did you have other plans? Did you have other ways of getting the job done? And then that I always find the most fascinating because it shows like they really are passionate about this. And then from there they have to design the impact study. So how did they actually make a change? What is the evidence that they've got to prove that they made this change? And then show us how sustainable it is. So if they just do a litter campaign, today the field is clean, beautiful, but what about tomorrow? So they have to have a plan around that. They have to show us what is your future plan or what is your sustainability plan. And then at the end, they have a section on communication. How did they market this project? How did they make sure that people knew about it and supported it? How did they talk within their team, internal and external communication? It's a very important skill to know, especially when they go into the workplace. And then the last step is personal and team development analysis. So how did you actually develop as a person? Did you discover new talents? Did you learn something new? Did you grow as a person? Did you become less shy? Did you get more confidence? All of those things. And then also as a team. In the beginning, maybe the team wasn't so cohesive. And by the end, they're like a family. They just want to be together all the time. So that's what we want to see from the perspective of the learners and from the teacher who's their mentor that we train.
And you're working with schools?
Yes. We work with schools across the country and from all different areas. We do focus mainly on under-resourced or underperforming schools because we want them to have the opportunity that they don't have. But we will not say no to any other schools. Like we do want a mixture of schools because our other goal is social cohesion. We want people to mix with different genders, races, classes, everything. We must mix because otherwise we're not going to get a country that is cohesive. We're going to have people in their own pockets, scared of the other pockets. So that's what we're also trying to avoid with this program.
And Amanda, on a personal level, why is a youth development program something that you decided that you wanted to focus on?
So when I was working at the other NGO where I started the program, I was in charge of all the different marketing elements. So we had ECD programs, so that's the younger kids, and everyone loved that one. They were like, oh, so cute, let's go visit those kids, let's go read to them, and they run up to you and they hug you, and it's very cute, it's very nice. So everyone wanted to be there. Yeah. And then we get to the after-school program with the youth, and they're like, no, we don't want to go there. These are the problems. Like, these are the underdogs, the ones who are causing issues. And I was like, no, guys, let's give them a way to channel their energy in the right way and use it for positive change rather than seeing it as this negative energy that's used for wrong, behaviors and attitudes and all kinds of things. I said, the underdogs who I want to support. So that's how it actually started. I decided youth is my passion.
And working with South Africa's young people, where do you believe there should be more focus on? Is it education, opportunities? What do you think is lacking?
So that's a very difficult question because there's a lot lacking. And when we say education, I don't think that is the only thing. Like, you need to have a holistic care model for a child. And that starts from the family. And if we look at families in the world, they're also disintegrating. So we have a huge problem, societal problem, of the children growing in a family that is not functional. Some of them are in child-headed households. Some of them are in grandmother-headed households. Some have witnessed extreme violence, abuse, all those kinds of things. Poverty actually is a kind of abuse. So there are so many challenges just growing up. And then you add on the education problem where classes are overcrowded, there's not enough teachers, not enough resources, people are not understanding reading for meaning, at a certain age where they should. There's so many issues, but I think the main thing is if you can help a child to see that they actually are responsible for making their lives better, no matter where they come from, then you give them that confidence to find the tools and to find the resources to make their lives better and to move in the right direction. So it's all about developing people into whole people, the emotional intelligence, and then obviously the intellectual and everything else will come from that. But if you don't have anything within yourself that you can hold on to, then you're not going to take anything that's given to you and use it properly.
Now, can your program be copied overseas, or is it exclusively designed for South Africa's society?
So it can definitely be replicated. We've replicated it in businesses even, and we've used it in after-school programs that are not in school specifically. So we've already seen that it works in different contexts, and we'd love to take it overseas because obviously a few tweaks here and there, if needed, can be made. But the point is the basic model is something that anyone can use.
And I know you touched on this before, but why do you think there's such a need for a program like yours? Is it bad governance, poor education? Or do you think we're just living in a very difficult time for young people?
I think the third option, we live in a very difficult time, that's the first reason. But I think also if you have more programs like this that are practical, then you will get more results. Unfortunately, our education system is very theoretical. It's all about studying, writing exams. That's very theoretical. It's not actually doing things. Yes, sometimes there's a science experiment or something that is, physical, but even then, a lot of the time, schools don't have resources to do that properly. So this program actually says go and do something. And while you're doing something, you learn a lot better than if you're just writing about it. Or you're just, remembering something, writing it down, and then forgetting it. So that's the whole thing, having a critical thinking mind, being a problem solver. Those kinds of skills are what you get from this kind of program, and that's what we need in our country and in the world.
And can you give us some examples of some inspirational stories that have come from your program? Either people who've graduated from the program or who are still in it now?
Sure. So we've got one of our alumni. He was in a very rural area in KZN, KwaZulu-Natal. And he did the program when he was in grade 10, and then he enjoyed it and he decided to join the support team, which is our volunteer program. And then he started helping us with adjudication and doing workshops, and he just grew and grew, and then he went to study. He finished his LLB degree, and then he was working, and he was still working with us as volunteer. Then he did his master's in intellectual property. He just, has been growing, but at the same time he started his own NGO where he was doing programs to empower young people to, as I said to you before, become the person they want to be. So it's all about emotional development and skills and resources. He did that, and then he also wrote a book which he self-published, which is all about how someone from a village can cope when they go to a tertiary institution, because it's such a big jump. And so he gave the whole book of tips of how to do that, and I was instrumental in helping him with that because I wrote the foreword to it, and I edited it for him just to make sure it was done properly. And that book's been doing very well. So he's one of the products, our success stories that we love to talk about, and he's still involved even now, even though he's so busy. He'll always give time where he can to be part of it because he sees the benefit of it. He's grown in confidence. I mean, the way he talks at workshops, people love it. They're like, oh, that guy. Mbui, that's the guy. We want to listen to him. So that's amazing. And then also on school levels, we've had programs that schools run every single year. They're part of the program, and their learners do different topics and projects every year, and they just build on them every time. So when we have our sustainability award, which we call the Change Agent for Sustainability, then we see all the results of these projects, how they've grown and developed and continued throughout the time, and how the culture of the school has changed from we have problems to no, there are opportunities to find solutions. So I think that is a big success story, and I've got many stories to tell about that. I could talk for the next 3 hours.
And what support do you need, besides funding, to continue to grow and expand this program?
So obviously funding, but other than that, the partnerships, other organizations that could work with us to take the program forward. Like at the moment, there's another NGO that said they want to use our methodology, and I met with them and said, fine, we can do that. And they're going to share their results with us to see a research paper kind of thing. So that's nice. And also any other bigger organizations that want to customize a program to work in their schools or their whatever beneficiaries they work with. So those are other income generating models that we're looking at. And then, just word of mouth. You never know who someone might know who would be the right person to talk to expand and to grow.
And Amanda, you're writing a book.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
So one of the alumni, as I mentioned just now, Mbui, as he wrote his book, I said to him, why don't we also write a book together around active citizenship? And he said, great, let's do it. So we've actually written most of it, but it's not only around the schools that we work with. we've actually gone and interviewed people in the community about what they've done to make a big difference. Like there's someone who's gone and fixed a park that was nearby that was so dangerous, no one wanted to go there, it was just like empty for years. And he said, but why? Like, can't we do something to make this park come back to life? And he got a whole team of people together through just being an active citizen, and they actually regenerated this park so beautifully. Everyone wants to go there now. And it's been, amazing to see that kind of story. Someone who just decided, no one's going to do it, let me do it. So there's that kind of story, and there's stories about, people who have, like in our projects in the Northern Cape, people who said there's a graveyard next to our school and that's where all the social issues are happening. People are vandalizing the gravestones, they're selling drugs there, all the bad things. So they said, we want to fence it in. But the municipality said, look, we've got like 300 other things that are more important, it will take a while. And they said, don't worry, we'll do it. Within like 4 months, they managed to fundraise, get donations in kind, do all kinds of activities to get this thing to happen. And it's still there now, with a sign that says who was involved and that it was a YCAP project. And they're so proud of it. The community they see what benefit it was, and that's why it hasn't been vandalized or broken down. It's still there.
Amanda, quite an extraordinary story. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.